I noticed too with the film that you showed them all beautiful and dolled up and in front of the camera and talking with their customers, but then you had the audio, which was much more, sounded like their real selves, and some of the painful things that they went through.
Yeah.
How did you come to that decision to do it like that?
Well, I think it was important to kind of to show the disparity, the difference there between what their on-camera personas are and what their off-camera personas are. And one of the, it was an immediate thing where when we first realized we were going to make the movie, I said to myself, well, how am I going to get through and get something that's not what they're used to doing on camera? They're used to being on camera. They're used to, oh, I see what's going on here. They're savvy. So to kind of break that down a little bit, what I decided to do was conduct no on-camera interviews. So what I would do is I would sit with the girls in wherever, in their house, on their couch, on their bed. I would get real close to them. We'd get a mic nice and close, and we would just talk for a couple hours. And I would cull from those interviews, we put together the audio that kind of underlays over the film. And we're telling two different stories at once, but they really work well together. And you're hearing something that's really genuinely them. I talk about like it's their midnight voice, it's their rated R voice, it's their just talking to a friend voice. And to be able to get that, it wouldn't have been guaranteed if we would have just slapped the camera in front of them, because like I said, they're very savvy to that. So instead, we focused on getting through to their, down to the nitty-gritty of their stories in a really low-stakes environment. And I think that helps bring out their real voice.
And is that something that you just saw over time? Because so much when you go to someone's place, they're in on mode and they want to present the best PR aspect that they can.
Yeah, you just see it too often when you take out the camera and someone's like a deer in the headlights, and that puts the worst feeling over me as a filmmaker. I don't want to make someone feel like that, let alone capture it, especially for something like this. We're trying to get in there and depict what they normally do, not what they're doing like on camera for us. So to make our presence as little known as possible is super important to me. And yeah, that's really what fueled that decision was that, seeing how many times you try and fail to get somebody to act like themselves on camera. And I had experimented with this style with doing the off-camera interview in some commercials, and I knew it could be successful in storytelling in a smaller way. And my editor and I just loved the challenge of doing it for an entire film, for a whole film that kind of is interview-based, but never really showing an interview. I dug it.
Right. That's excellent.
Yeah.
Sean, with this technique of getting their audio and just talking to them one-on-one without the camera, was this something that you learned from another filmmaker or film school?
I didn't go to film school. I have a lot of influences, but not necessarily specifically for that style. It was something that, like I said, I dabbled around with on commercials a little bit and realized how it could work. And also just kind of reading the audience and seeing what's out there currently, and kind of going against the tide a little bit, with just trying to do something that maybe is a little bit more engaging and not what you'd expect. So yeah, not necessarily one filmmaker I can point to in particular, but lots of guys over time for sure, and women.